Hello my fellow strangers, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to do an academic book call. Now I imagine there's probably not going to be anything more boring than an academic book haul because, I mean, they're not books with exciting stories to tell or anything like that. They're mostly theoretical. And although I'm a big nerd and I like books that make these connections and introduce really big ideas and whatever, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. But you know what? We're going to do a twist on the book haul and do the academic book haul because I say so, and that's just my video for today. Now, as an academic, I find that I most of the time try and go to the library and get books that way, but once I know that a book is probably going to play a fairly big role in something that I'm writing academically, I usually want or like to get a personal copy because I like to write in the margins of my books. And you're not really supposed to do that in library books, although I do it anyway, in pencil. I'm every librarian's nightmare. To avoid librarians hating me, like I say, tend to try and buy a book that I feel like I'm gonna need and that I'm gonna want to write in a lot. So I bought some books recently for that reason. So I'm gonna share them with you today. So here we go. The first book is Cultural Theory and Popular Culture, an Introduction by John Story. This book actually looks at popular culture through cultural theory lenses, much as the title implies. Next up is Confronting the Challenges of Participatory Culture, Media Education for the 21st Century. Its primary author is Henry Jenkins, but there are several others who have contributed as well. And this book, well, much like its title implies, because we academic writers are pretty good with our titles, it's about participatory culture and, well, the challenges inherent in that. So the next book is called Disconnected: Youth, New Media, and the Ethics Gap by Carrie James. And so this has to do with, a ton of ethics issues. The next book is by Dana Boyd called It's Complicated, and it explores the sort of digital lives of young people. And this work asks some really interesting questions about young people and their social lives online, and asks questions regarding identity and privacy and addiction and danger and a whole slew of other things. So this was sort of one of those random purchases. It was in those other people who bought this title you were looking at also bought, and then this was one of those also bought. I can't remember which book I was looking at when this came up. For we bibliophiles, it's the same sort of compulsion buy that people might do if they're at a physical store and they're going by the checkout and they have candy or whatever where you grab it because you're oh, I think I need that too. Except for this is the book version of it. The next book is called By Any Media Necessary: The New Youth Activism, and it's written by Henry Jenkins, Sangrita Shrestova, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, Liana Gamber-Thomas, Neta Klinger, Velenschik, and Erly M. Zimmerman. I have no idea if I'm saying some of those correctly, if I'm being completely honest with you. But there are several chapters by each of these people, and some chapters sort of in combination with them, and it sort of talks about the way in which youth are sort of capitalizing on the strengths of things like social media and the networked era that we're in for political and activist type purposes. In fact, in this book there is, I already know for sure, a chapter that talks about nerd fighters, so that's pretty cool. It's this chapter right here. It's called Decreasing World Suck: Harnessing Popular Culture for Fan Activism. I had this one from the library before, and it definitely talks about us, we nerd fighters. For example, it says, the HBA Harry Potter Alliance and Imagine Better often collaborate with the Nerd Fighters, which represent a different model for mobilizing popular culture fans. The Nerd Fighters are an informal online community of young people that took shape around the YouTube channel of the Vlogbrothers, John and Hank Green. John Green is a best-selling young adult author, and Hank Green is a musician and entrepreneur. Both now engage in a wide variety of educational products that they produce for YouTube, such as SciShow and Crash Course, channels dedicated to teaching science, history, and a range of other topics, including U.S. government and politics. On the Vlogbrothers channel, the Greens upload 2 videos a week about nothing in particular in their signature style, which involves high-speed talking, multiple jump cuts, and various inside jokes and jargon. Nerdfighters connect not around a fictional content world, but rather around their affiliation with the Vlogbrothers and a broader nerd identity. As part of this shared identity, the group pursues a shared social agenda, which they call Decreasing World Suck. The next one is called Participatory Culture in a Networked Era, and this is more about sort of, well, participatory culture and how that is sort of embedded within these broader networks that we utilize, like social media and things like that. The next book is called Reading in a Participatory Culture, Remixing Moby Dick in the English Classroom, and this is sort of how literature is being used in these sort of new media arenas, and thereby being used in classrooms. And I forgot to mention, but both of these have Henry Jenkins involved. This one also has Mizuko Ito and Dana Boyd as well, which I had another book by her. This one's edited by Henry Jenkins and Wynne Kelly, but there are additional editors and contributors in this book as well. The next one is called Digital Storytelling, Capturing Lives and Creating Community, and this is by Joe Lambert. This is actually kind of an older publication. It's from 2002, but it talks about sort of the early proliferation of digital storytelling, which actually originated in theater spaces, but is now being largely utilized on online platforms. But this is like sort of an early look at some of those things. The last one is called Hop on Pop, and it is a look at popular culture, basically. It's an edited volume with lots of essays by lots of different people, and it is edited by Henry Jenkins, Tara McPherson, and Jane Shattuck. So that's part of my book haul. There are actually some that still haven't come, but you know, I hope you enjoyed my weird academic book haul, because they're probably of no interest to anyone on this channel but me. But anyways, you know, whatever. You got to hear a passage about Nerdfighters and how we're being written about in the academic community, so that's great, right? Anyways, I have a lot of writing to do in these books, so I suppose with that I will just say, until next Monday, my fellow strangers, because I'll see you then. Bye.